We're going to begin the supplier onboarding demonstration from Medius Capture because despite the best intentions, oftentimes the first time an organization gets wind of a new supplier is when an invoice hits the door. Now, it's important to note we support both onboarding from a proactive fashion, say using a form, but we also support it directly in Medius Capture, which we'll see today. Next, we'll see the supplier experience, followed by the buyer review and approval process and a discussion around the automatic synchronization of the record with the ERP system. Let's start in Medius Capture from a first-time invoice perspective. So if you notice within Capture, there is a link that says Request New Supplier. This is, again, for the scenario where supplier doesn't exist in the vendor master and something needs to be set up. Now, because this is Medius Capture, any data field on the invoice, such as contact information like first name, last name, email address, or even phone number, would be automatically populated into the request form. And at this point, it's a simple matter to submit the request. I'm going to transition now and play the role of a supplier through the Medius Supplier Portal. Suppliers obtain notification that they have an onboarding request, and so they access the portal through user ID and password, and they're immediately taken to the registration form landing page. One of the benefits of the Medius Supplier Portal is they're able to connect and maintain and view multiple customer relationships through this single user interface. So here you can see I've got 3 request forms in process, and I've got 4 that I've completed. Let's drill into one so I can walk through the fundamentals of the form itself and also talk through the concept of persistence. The first thing to note about the registration forms is that the sections on the left are completely configurable by the customer and can vary dynamically based on, say, the category of supplier. The questions within each section are also configurable and can be conditional in nature, so based on the answer to one question might drive requirements for another question. Another benefit is customers can flag certain sections as secure and sensitive so that only authorized users can view the contents within a section. So in the case of the United States, as an example, collecting bank account details is important, as well as the embedded security to make sure that bank account details are only viewable by certain authorized users within a company. Another aspect that's important for our customers is the ability to make sure that these forms are persistent and that suppliers are essentially pinged to review and or renew key information on a periodic basis. So as an example, proof of insurance and any related certificates. So the ability to both collect key attachments and supporting documentation, like say a proof of insurance, like here with a corresponding expiration date, Medius will automatically ping those suppliers to make sure that they're keeping this, key supporting documents and detail up to date. And that's true for things like insurance. It's true for things like minority-owned business certificate information, as well as maybe even quality assurance documentation like their ISO certifications. Let's continue on the onboarding journey now, playing the role of the approver of the supplier onboarding process. So within the managed responses area is where an authorized end user would go to review the submitted supplier information. They simply click into the supplier response and they can quickly access, of course, any section. But what we're interested in doing is actually conducting the review and approval and making a decision. We're in stage 1 of the approval process, and based on which sections I'm responsible for approving, in this case all, I have to make an approval decision. Based on the customer's requirements, they can require users to rationalize their decision through configurable forms. One of the purposes is to help drive categorization of the nature of the supplier, as well as potentially drive additional levels of due diligence. Once the approvals are complete, the vendor record is automatically synchronized with the ERP system, eliminating any chance of data entry errors. Medius ensures that critical vendor details and supporting documentation are consistently updated and viewable by users, reducing the risk of data obsolescence and improving compliance.